Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you guys are new, do not forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that like button, and let's get into today's video. Okay, so today is going to be a little different. Carlos is not here. He's currently at school. It is 2:10, so I figured let's do a story time. You know, when I do bring it up, people are often in their feelings because, you know, people are me bogus. So anyways, let's start off from the beginning. So this had to be junior year of high school. I didn't turn 18 until after I actually graduated high school. So I was like 17. And I used to work at Old Navy. You know, when you work in a place for a very long time, you start to build relationships with the people that you work with. So I started being really close with this girl. We're gonna name her A. She loves going to parties, and at that time I did too. So it was this one day she had texted me that she wanted to go to this party, and so I was like, okay, cool, like, yeah, we can go. So we went to this party. She picked me up, and I think she might have picked up this other person. I'm gonna name her T. We all went to this party together. We entered from like the back door. We got to this party and we're, you know, doing under the influence things. So then we ended up chilling, and I was sitting on this couch, and I literally remember I was sitting there like literally just relaxing, and then this like herd of people comes in. So they all come into the apartment, you know, everyone's having a good time, everyone's, you know, chilling or whatever, and the guy who hosted the party's room was open. So literally, I kid you not, we were all in the living room, and all of a sudden everyone who walked in left with something. And then the guy who was hosting it was like, like they just stole my PS4, like my Xbox. I'm like, oh. And I was under the influence, so like they started dipping out of this apartment. So what did I do? I dipped out with them for some reason. So I dipped out, and you know, everybody went their separate ways. It was me, and I think it was like 3 other people that were outside walking. This had to be at like, I think it was at like 12 o'clock at night. So then I was like, oh my god, I'm out here by myself. They locked the door. I was scared. I'm 17 years old. I'm little. I'm petite. I'm outside. It's 12 o'clock in the morning. I don't know who's gonna take me, whatever. So I text her and I'm like, hey, can you please unlock your vehicle so I can just go in there and sleep? That's all I want to do right now. And mind you, she had parked her car, I want to say like right in front of the house or whatever. Or I don't really remember, but it was like near where if she were to like open the patio and just unlock it, you know, I was able to get in there. But she like didn't respond to me. So here I am walking around like a weirdo in the middle of the night. So I'm walking, right, y'all, I'm walking, and all of a sudden I see like cop cars coming, and I see the sirens, and I was like, and in my head I was like, do I run or do I not? What do I do? And of course I was not gonna run because I wasn't gonna outrun anybody at this point. So I was like, I'm not. So I was just walking casually, and he stopped me. He was like, what are you doing outside this late? And I was like, oh, I'm just like going on a walk. And he's like, where are you going? And I was like, to my grandma's house. Mind you, I don't even know where I was, but I was like, let me just make up this lie because like maybe he'll let me go or something. He was like, okay, well, I'll walk with you. I was like, okay, I'm not going to my grandma's house, because I wasn't just gonna pull up to somebody's house randomly and be like, hey grandma, like, no. I was like, you know what, I'm actually not going to my grandma's house. So then he like was like, oh, okay. So he ends up pulling me aside. He's like, do you have a form of ID? And I'm like, yes, I do. So I'm looking in my wallet. Mind you guys, my cousin's ID was in my wallet because she let me use it, but that's besides the point. So he was being all nosy in my wallet, and he was like, who's that? I'm like, it's my cousin. He's like, why do you have her ID? I was like, she left it at my house. I haven't gotten the chance to give it back to her. And he's like, well, looks like she's gonna have to pick it up at the station. I'm like, what? Like, this is not even about the fact that you found this ID. This is about the fact that you want to see my ID. So then I gave him my ID and he was like, oh, you're not even 18 yet. I was like, no, not yet. So then he like starts asking me like these questions and he's like, okay, so have you been drinking? And I'm like, no. He's like, okay, I'm gonna ask you again. Have you been drinking? I was like, no. He goes, okay. I'm gonna ask you a third time. Have you been drinking? And I was like, yes, I have. Yes, I have. You know, and I was like 17. I was scared. I was by myself, like helpless. Like nobody was there at all. Like this all could have been prevented if she would have just unlocked her door and I could have just slept in the car, right? But she didn't. So here I am telling you guys this story. So then he was like, where is the party? Who was throwing it? I was like, I don't know. Not that I was trying to cover for anyone, but I really did not know. But he was like, okay, well, you're gonna walk with me. I'm like, okay. And he's like, and you're gonna tell me where the party is. I was like, psst. What? And like in the beginning when I mentioned, like, I didn't know what this place looked like. The back doors looked all the same. It was dark outside and we didn't enter from the front. So he's like, yeah, you're gonna tell me where the party is. I'm like, I don't know where the party is. And he's like, yes, you do. I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I really don't. So he literally walks up to this apartment complex. I literally kid you not, this man was banging on every single apartment door. And he's like, so which one is it? I'm like, I really can't tell you anything because I don't even know myself. So how can I tell you something that I don't know? So then he ends up banging on all the doors and then we end up leaving this apartment complex. So then we go outside, we're waiting. Then this other cop car pulls up and it's an Asian cop. And so I was like, okay, in my head, I'm like, all right, so he's Asian, I'm Asian, like he might just let me go. You know, like, let's work together. I'll just apologize and you could just let me go, you know? So he comes up. The white police officer was telling the Asian guy that he was gonna take me home. I'm like, damn, I wanna thank this officer. But the Asian guy was like, it's okay, like, I got it from here. I'll take her home. So I'm like, yes. So I was like, yes, there's a chance I'm not, you know, I'm not gonna get caught. So I get into this police car. And the seats are literally hard as rock. Like the most uncomfortable, like I literally would rather sit on a log. So anyways, I am literally sitting in the back of this cop car like this. The Asian guy is literally talking in Hmong, but I can understand what he was saying. And he looked me up and he goes, you're Hmong as well. I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay. He's like, did you come here with friends? I was like, yeah, I came here with some friends. And he's like, are they over 18? At that time, A was over 18. I think she has like 2 years up on me or something like that. Possibly, maybe, I don't know. But I was like, yes. He's like, if you can have her come and claim you that you were with her, I will let you go. I don't know if that's like the police to like get you to bring other people so that they can, you know, be in the cop car too. But at that time I was panicking and I was like, okay, well, let me call her. So I'm calling her. I called her like 9 times. And then this one time that I called her, she was like, why are you calling me? It's late at night. I was like, oh, no, you didn't. Sucker tried to play me. I was pressed. I was already so pissed. I was so pissed that I wasn't even intoxicated anymore. I couldn't even believe my ears. So I was like, whatever. So then I was like, she's not picking up. And he's like, okay, well, did you come with anyone else? So I also came with this girl named T. And I call her. This girl is declining my calls like no other. Mind you, she was supposed to be my best friend. Okay, so I'm calling them and I'm telling this police officer, I'm like, they're not answering. You guys, this police officer looked back at me. I kid you not. He was like,
what good friends you have there.
I was like, you know what? You're right. You so right. What friends do I have? Like at this point, I was over it. I could not deal anymore because I was already so uncomfortable. I was pissed. So we're sitting in the car and he's like, you don't want to try anymore, like to see? And I was like, no, like it's fine. So then he's like, all right, well then I'm gonna take you home. I was like, and I just kept telling him like, no, don't take me home, don't take me home. Like, drop me off a mile away and I'll walk. Like, just do not drop me off at home.
20 minutes later.
So we end up leaving and we end up driving to my house. Now, this whole time I'm telling him, yo, my dad is a pastor. My mother is gonna kill me. Like, I'm not gonna be able to do anything with my life because of this incident. And it was just wrong place, wrong time, wrong people. So then we end up like pulling up to the house, and I kid you not, I'm sitting like this in the car because I'm like, I'm not getting out. Like, you're gonna have to yank me out, whatever. I'm not. I would rather sit in this cop car than go home. He like walks out the car. I'm like, no, I'm not getting out. And then he opens my door and I'm like, I'm not getting out. And he's like, you have to go home. I was like, okay, but like, I don't want you to talk to my parents. I just don't. And he's like, okay, I won't. So I'm like, all right. So I'm thinking like, he's just trying to say that so that he could get me out the car and walk to the door. So we have this gate that's around our place. And I was like, I'm not opening this gate. Like, I'm gonna keep it locked because I'm not going in there. And he's like, come on, open the gate. I'm like, no, I'm not going to open the gate. So then he opens it and I'm like scooting to the door and I'm like, and I'm standing at this door and he's like, ring the doorbell. I'm like, I'm not about to ring the doorbell. Like, are you crazy? So then he looked at me, I looked at him, and he was like, look. And I was like, yep. And he was like, promise me that I will never ever see you again until you are 21. Y'all, I looked at this man and I was like, yes, yes. Promise you ain't never gonna see me until I'm 21 and blacked out at the bars. I promise. And he was like, okay, I will let you go, and I want to know that you're gonna go inside and literally lie down in your bed and go to bed. And I was like, say no more. So literally I opened the door after he said that, and then I went into the apartment and I took my happy right to bed. But when it happened and I was confronting her about it, she literally told me that it was my fault. Tell me if I'm wrong, but if I'm with a group of girls and one of them gets too out of control or whatever, you're not just gonna let them go and do whatever they want. No, you're gonna sit there and be able to not control them, but make sure that they're good. But in this case, that wasn't the case. I did walk out of there without a ticket and without him talking to my parents, but lesson learned, you know. And for T, I didn't talk to her for months. Like, you know, she was, quote, my best friend, and she just left me like hanging there. I still can't believe it. Like, looking back at it, I'm like, I'm so dumb. Like, I am so stupid. I'm really out here trusting people, and look where it got me, in the back of a cop car. But anyways, that is over with. I am so glad to have gotten people out of my life. I think I'm at that point in my life where, you know, I'm so focused on myself. I'm so focused on my family. I'm so focused on anyone else that has been good to me. And I've just honestly just been living life. I'm typically so easy with trusting people, but obviously I learned the hard way with that. Comment if you guys have any stories that are similar where you were like, damn, like I thought you had my back. That is my story time. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that like button, and I will see you guys next time.